Hello guys from Plant Reviews. Today 26th of June, and I'm talking now about one of my favorite flower bulbs, and one of the most fragrant flowers I have. That is the Ismene Sulphur queen. That is a cross between two wonderful species, the Peruvian Daffodil, Ismene narcissiflora, and another Peruvian species called Ismene Hymenocallis that has absolutely gorgeous yellow flowers with striped green, and unfortunately is a very rare and endangered species, and I several times tried to find available for purchase, but I was never able to. I found only in the archive of rareplants.co.uk. It was sold some time ago. It was pretty expensive. It was like about £50 per bulb. So obviously is not an easy bulb to find. However, luckily this hybrid is one of the most common hybrids you can find around in shops and online. And I have three bulbs that I purchased about 3 or 4 weeks ago in a shop, and actually they were on clearance, so I was able to purchase them just 50% off, about £1.50 each. So I was very pleased with that, and even more important, I'm very pleased because the flowers, actually I got at least one flower stem, one possibly developing, and unfortunately the other one was developing a flower, but it has been eaten by slugs. I did a video I think last week or a couple of weeks ago, and luckily the slugs at least spared the leaves, so hopefully this bulb will bloom next year. So this bulb is belongs to the genus Ismene. You will find most often on trade as a Hymenocallis cross sulphur queen. However, the plant it belongs to it is a hybrid between two genus of Ismene. You can actually differentiate the Ismene from Hymenocallis, as you possibly know already yourself, or from my previous video I made about another beautiful bulb, the Ismene cross festalis. That Ismene and Hymenocallis can be differentiated by the way the leaves basically are born on the bulb. In Ismene the leaves are basically originate from quite a long stem originating from the bulb, and while in Hymenocallis the leaves originate basically directly from the bulb. Also, the flower in Hymenocallis are mostly pure white without any stripe, while in Ismene they present very often and almost always these green stripes in the middle of the flower. The plant itself is about 50 centimeters tall, and even in my pot, and it is it belongs, basically the two species belong to the family Amaryllidaceae, the Amaryllis family. Even if it's vaguely resembles a lily, you can actually it is actually a closer relative of Narcissus, and obviously even more of Hymenocallis. The flower I think is particularly beautiful because it has 6 tepals that make a trumpet-shaped or funnel-shaped flower, and on each stem can be born multiple flowers. In this case I have 5 flowers, 1 in bud, 1 almost fading here, and 3 in full bloom here. When the flowers are born, they are kind of yellowish greenish. Ismene Hymenocallis is one of the parents, indeed, is bright yellow flowers with green stripes, while Ismene narcissiflora, the other parent, has white flowers, so it's a kind of greenish yellowish, I would say almost cream. Very beautiful if you like especially pastel colors. I usually like more vivid colors, but this flower is, I think, is still absolutely gorgeous. While the flower ages, the flower progressively becomes whiter and paler, as you can see, and this indeed is the flower that opened first. Now it's basically almost faded. As you can see, the flower stem is quite tall, and the flowers really tower above the foliage. The tepals are pointy, and they surround basically a trumpet that is basically made by modified stamens. That basically the stamens in these kind of flowers in Ismene as well as Hymenocallis develop in a way to make a membrane. Indeed, their close relative Hymenocallis name indeed means beautiful membrane, and actually the flower resembles very much Hymenocallis for this kind of membrane. The anthers, the male part of the flowers, as you can see, are borne on the precisely in this membrane. This membrane is a kind of sept in correspondence, is slightly divided in the correspondence of the anthers. So actually you can see the 6 anthers that basically correspond mirror the 6 tepals as well, and the 6 parts in which the crown, in which this membrane is divided. The stigma, the female part, instead is a very narrow greenish projection coming directly from the center of the flower. I'm not too sure if you can see in the video. I will try my best to focus. Is basically at the base of the flower. This is a plant that I tried again several times to pollinate, including yesterday. You can see I put some pollen on the stigma. Yesterday, however, opened a new flower here, so I will swiftly try to pollinate this one as well. You can see here we have the stigma, so I'll take some pollen from a previously open flower, that is this one, and stick it on the stigma here. Okay, perfect. So, and hopefully I will get some seeds. I would like very much to multiply this plant also. Hopefully when the seeds develop, they can inherit genetic material in different parts from both the parents. So I hope that maybe one of the seeds, if they develop, might look even more like the beautiful Ismene Hymenocallis that I don't think I will be able to find in the next future. Another incredible feature of this plant is the fragrance. The fragrance is very strong. It is not as strong as, say, a stargazer lily. Really cannot perfume the whole garden. However, if you, like me, love to bring the pot in the house, certainly it can perfume the whole room. The fragrance is a very difficult to describe. It vaguely resembles kind of cake. It's really sweet with a hint of spice. Very, very nice, and it is, in my opinion, the strongest of the species and hybrids I have. I have 3 species: the Hymenocallis sarisiana, whose fragrance is almost undetectable; the Ismene crossvestalis, that has a slightly stronger fragrance, very different. Ismene crossvestalis smells like kind of just wash the clothes, really. Very subtle, still very pleasant, but this one is definitely my favorite because it's very intense, the fragrance, and it also smells kind of fruit and sugary, really like a cake. And the plant, it produces only one flower stem each year, so you have to enjoy the flowers. Each flower luckily lasts about 3-4 days, so a little bit longer than other species. And considering that on this stem I have 5 flowers, hopefully I will be able to enjoy the beautiful blooms for another 6-7 days in total, hopefully. Definitely this plant is a must if you love fragrant gardens, especially flower fragrant bulbs. About the cultivation of this plant, as I said, is very easily found both in garden centers. Tailors supplies it very often in a variety of garden centers, but also online you will not have any difficulty in finding it. The bulbs need to be planted in spring with top of the stem slightly above the ground, and the plant needs full sun and well-drained soil. During the growth season, so between spring and early autumn, likes to be on the moist side, as long as obviously the ground is the compost is well drained. The plant, however, is deciduous, so the leaves will continue developing after the flower has faded anyway. And in autumn, basically the leaves die off, and in this season you basically need to either lift the bulb or trying to avoid not to ruin too much the roots, or otherwise to just keep the pot in the in a greenhouse, or in a way in a frost-free environment, keeping it away from the cold and from the wet, especially from the cold, because this bulb is not frost hardy. However, definitely it is, even if the fact that it's not frost hardy is the only drawback of this beautiful flower, because I would love to have a huge meadow of these flowers in my garden all year round, but unfortunately I have to cultivate them in pots anyway. It is definitely again one of the most recommendable of the Peruvian daffodils, also called spider lilies, and is a kind of exotic flower. I think the Hymenocallis arisiana and the Ismene crossvestalis look even more exotic, because the tepals in the other two species are even more spidery. This one looks a little bit more like a kind of a weird daffodil, really. Probably of the 3 spider lilies, this is the one that looks more like really like a daffodil. However, I think the beautiful flower is still absolutely beautiful, as you can see, and most importantly is extremely fragrant. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you would like to support my channel, would be great if you can please subscribe, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.